Did you know that stories can change our brains? Research shows that when we hear a compelling story, our brain releases oxytocin, a hormone that makes us feel empathy. In fact, people are 22 times more likely to remember a story than a simple fact. That's why storytelling is a powerful tool in connecting with others. In a world full of information, grabbing attention is harder than ever. Studies reveal that the average person scrolls through hundreds of pieces of content daily. Yet, only a few stories stick. So, how can you tell a story that leaves a mark? In this article, we'll explore unique strategies to elevate your storytelling game. We'll discuss how to create relatable characters, hook your audience with emotion, and craft conflicts that dig deeper. Plus, you'll learn how to use micro-stories, control pacing, and create echoes that resonate long after your tale is told. Get ready to transform your stories into unforgettable experiences. Let's dive in and discover the secrets of storytelling that truly captivates. Chapter 1. The power of relatable characters. Crafting people, not just plot. Your audience might love an action-packed plot, but what keeps them hooked is the people. Characters who feel like real humans, with real flaws and dreams, are what make stories unforgettable. Think about this: when Pixar makes a movie, they don't just think of the plot, they spend years developing their characters. Why? Because people care about characters they see themselves in. Studies show that 65% of people feel more connected to a story when they relate to the character's emotions and struggles. So how do you create relatable characters? First, give your character a clear goal, but don't make it too easy. Maybe they want to win something, or maybe they're just trying to make it through a tough day. Now, add some real-world flaws. We all know nobody's perfect, so don't write your characters that way. Give them weaknesses or inner conflicts that they have to battle. A great example comes from J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter series. Harry isn't just fighting bad guys. He's struggling with loss, loneliness, and self-doubt. Readers connect with him because they see a bit of themselves in those struggles. That's the secret sauce to a story that resonates. Give your characters something human. Don't just create an adventure, create someone we'd follow anywhere. Chapter 2. Emotional hooks. Starting with heart. Ever notice how some stories grab your attention right from the start? It's because they start with emotion. Whether it's sadness, joy, or suspense, emotions stick. Research from the Journal of Consumer Research shows that people are more likely to remember content that triggers an emotional response, by as much as 20%. That's huge. The key here is to make your audience feel something in the first few seconds. Start your story by diving straight into a moment that matters. Skip the long introductions and go straight for the heart. A great way to do this is by showing vulnerability. For instance, instead of starting with, "Let me tell you a story about a hero," you might start with, "There was a day when I thought I wasn't going to make it." See the difference? The second opening hooks you emotionally because it feels personal and raw. Another trick is to appeal to universal experiences, things everyone can relate to. If your character is going through a breakup, feeling homesick, or dealing with failure, your audience will immediately connect because we've all been there at some point. Make the opening scene count by layering in emotion. That's what makes people lean in and listen. Chapter 3. The unseen villain. Conflict. Beyond the surface. Conflict drives every great story, but not all conflict is obvious. Sure, a big, flashy battle scene can grab attention, but what really keeps people hooked is internal conflict, the kind you can't see right away. Did you know that 75% of successful films in the last decade feature protagonists who face internal struggles? It's not always about the bad guy. Sometimes it's about battling yourself. Think about Frodo in The Lord of the Rings. His greatest challenge isn't the physical journey to Mordor. It's his internal struggle with the temptation of the ring. The audience is on edge because they can feel his conflict. They're not just waiting for the next fight scene, they're watching to see if Frodo will break. So, how do you create this invisible villain? Start by giving your character a dilemma or an impossible choice. Maybe they have to choose between following their dream or staying loyal to their family. Or maybe they're haunted by something from their past that keeps them from moving forward. This kind of internal battle keeps the tension alive without needing to throw in constant action. To make it even more powerful, make sure the conflict reflects something bigger, like a societal challenge or a universal truth. When a character's internal battle represents something we've all felt, it adds layers of meaning to your story. And it sticks with your audience long after the story ends. If you're finding these storytelling strategies helpful, be sure to subscribe to stay updated with more tips and tricks for captivating storytelling. Chapter 4. Mastering Micro-Stories. Tiny tales with big impact. Sometimes, the smallest moments have the biggest emotional punch. Micro-stories, or tiny tales embedded within a larger narrative, are a powerful way to keep your audience engaged. Studies show that our attention spans are shrinking, with the average adult losing focus after just 8 seconds. That's even shorter than a goldfish. This is where micro-stories can make all the difference. A micro-story is a brief scene or anecdote that stands on its own while contributing to the larger narrative. Think of it as a bite-sized story inside the bigger plot. For example, in The Pursuit of Happiness, one of the most touching scenes is when Will Smith's character spends the night in a subway bathroom with his son. It's a small moment in the overall film, but it captures the depth of their struggle in just a few minutes. It's unforgettable because it's personal, raw, and full of emotion. So, how do you create these moments? Look for opportunities to zoom in on the little things. Maybe your character has a quiet moment of doubt before a big decision, or maybe they share a brief but powerful memory. These micro-stories don't need to be long, they just need to matter. The key is to make them feel like emotional snapshots that deepen the connection between the audience and the characters. When used correctly, micro-stories can create mini-climaxes that keep your audience hooked without overwhelming them. Chapter 5. Rhythm and Pacing. Timing. The twist. Ever felt exhausted by a story that's all action, all the time? Or bored by one that's too slow? That's because pacing is everything in storytelling. You need to balance moments of high tension with quiet reflection. According to a study by the University of Southern California, the human brain reacts differently to peaks and valleys in stories. It releases dopamine during high-tension moments, but it needs breathers to process the story emotionally. Good pacing is like a roller coaster ride. There are thrilling climbs, sudden drops, and moments to catch your breath. Take the movie Inception as an example. The intense action scenes are balanced with quieter moments where characters reflect on their choices. This allows the audience to stay engaged without feeling overwhelmed. One trick to mastering pacing is to start with a steady build-up. Begin slow, letting the audience settle in, then gradually increase the tension. But don't keep it at a high level for too long. After a big moment, give your audience time to process. These pauses are just as important as the twists. They create space for reflection and anticipation. To time your twists effectively, drop subtle hints throughout your story. Foreshadowing is key. Let the audience feel like something is coming, but don't reveal it all at once. When the twist finally happens, it should feel both surprising and inevitable. Think of the twist in The Sixth Sense. It was hinted at all along, but when it hit, it still blew everyone's mind. That's the magic of well-timed storytelling. If you enjoyed these storytelling strategies, consider subscribing for more insights on how to captivate your audience and make your stories unforgettable.